Good day, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of A Fool's Journey. Forgive, the way I look. I'm actually taking my braids out, so I cut them. Some of them are already out, some of them are still in. But before I fully transitioned, I wanted to put out one more video, and I didn't feel like taking these braids out any longer. So look at there, see? Piece coming out. Uh, so I wanted to go ahead and do this next phase of my journey. Um, and I want to start this video off with a little saying that I came across, which was, a woman's power lies in her heart and her mind and not her body, right? But in thinking about that, right, what happens to a woman what happens to the power that lies in her heart and her mind when her body is violated? So in this part of my journey, I am going to just touch on, some of the feelings and emotions that I went through after being violated as a young girl, and what situations kind of brought me out of that and brought me back into a confident space about my body. So, in my first episode, I talked a lot about my grandma and how, she was the the rock to our family. She taught us how to love, how to, stick together. But, I think a lot of families have the rug. Most of you know what the rug is. It's the rug that, shit that people don't want to deal with gets swept under. So, our family had a rug. There was a rug there. And it wasn't until I realized that my power was swept under the rug that I became that's when I became aware of the rug, when I realized my power got swept under that rug. It's also the moment where I started to see, my grandma in a light that wasn't always so great, for whatever her reasons were, in hopes of keeping the family together, whatever have you, I can't speak on, I don't know. But, when I was young, I was violated by a cousin of mine who, lived in the house with us. I tell you guys all the time, like, we grew up in a house all together, cousins, aunts, uncles, you know. And I loved our dynamic. But I got violated by a cousin of mine. And I went to my grandma and I told my grandma. And in my mind, I just knew, that because, grandma taught us the way she taught us, that she was going to be the one to take care of me in this situation and, handle it the right way. So I went to her and I told her. And she said to me, well, I don't know. Are you sure, baby girl? Are you sure, that that's what happened? And I'm like, yes, Grandma, I'm sure, you know? And I'm not going to go into the details of it because everything ain't meant for everybody, right? But, excuse me. But, she said to me that she was going to take care of it, that she was going to handle it, and that I didn't need to worry about it anymore, to just, it would be okay. And we never spoke about it again. She never once came back to me and had a conversation with me about it. Um, I never once seen any repercussions come behind it. No behavioral correction. Like, he was still there. He was still present. You know, and that was when I became aware of the rug that families have, that shit gets swept under when it's not wanting to be dealt with. I can, in knowing my grandma, I can say she probably didn't want to disrupt like the relationships in the house in the manner in which revealing that would have disrupted the relationships in the house between sisters and brothers and uncles and nephews, and but that took my confidence, and it made me feel like I was ashamed of like my body. And I took that, I didn't do anything wrong, but I didn't feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like I somehow brought this on myself in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Though I was laying in the bed half asleep when it happened. So there's no way, technically, that I could have brought that on myself. Um, and I didn't tell anyone else. You know, I didn't reveal that to anyone else around, because at that point I didn't feel like anything would be done, anything would get done. Like, if the most holy person I know, the most God-fearing person I know didn't do anything, why would anybody else? If the person that I love so dearly didn't stand up for me in a manner in which I could feel it and see it, why would anybody else? That was a crushing moment for me, because I had held her in such high regard. And after that, I couldn't hold her in the same regard, but I still loved her deeply. And I don't know, I kind of felt like I didn't want to be the problem. in the house. So I didn't push the issue. Excuse me. Um, you know, I didn't push the issue. But what I did do was I moved through life for a long time ashamed of my body, not being confident in who I was and, how I looked. Um, it wasn't until I got to high school that like all through middle school, up into high school, like I was baggy jeans, baggy shirts, everything way too big for my body. And I was, even though I was, a thick girl back then, I wasn't, I still had a nice shape. Like I always had a nice shape. Um, but I didn't see that. I couldn't see that. Like there was just a lot of shame in wanting to like show off my body. And I had a sister who, skinny, small, muscular, we called her little Mike Tyson. So it she was able to be like the opposite of me. Like she would dress up and, be girly and I almost was like envious that I couldn't bring myself to feel confident enough to do the same thing, to like just really like be who I am and show up as who I am, but instead like cover myself up and shield my beauty. Like it was almost like I knew I was beautiful, but I knew I had to hide that beauty because if I didn't, then I might get violated again. That was a real genuine fear that I had. And I couldn't even tell you like what prompted the change in me, but I remember one night, one day I asked my mom to take me shopping. And she took me shopping and I got some skirts and some blouses, some cute, tops and these pair of black boots. They were like ankle boots, but they had a little heel on them, a thick heel on them. And I I said, I'm going to go to school tomorrow and I'm going to wear this outfit. And I was so nervous. I just remember being like so nervous and worrying about like what people were going to think, how they were going to see me. And I think that I wasn't so much nervous as much as I was afraid that I was going to be revealing myself in a manner in which I hadn't before, and I didn't know how I was going to be received. I didn't know if I was going to feel violated after showing, who I really want to be, because though I am a tomboy at heart and I love my jeans and I love my baggy shirts, I also want to be cute and pretty from time to time. I want to dress up from time to time too. So, yeah, I went to school, going to Stevenson High School, and I showed up and I had on, it was a little tight skirt and a little blouse, little button up blouse that matched the skirt, and I had on the boots, and um, I walked in. I walked in and it was almost it was almost like people were seeing me for the first time, like really seeing me for the first time. But it's also the feeling that I had myself in the mirror that morning before I actually left for school. Like I was seeing myself for the first time, and I could actually say, like, I was beautiful. Um, and so I got to school, and everyone is like shocked and surprised. And they're like, is that Deb? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, who? You know what I'm saying? Like, that, those were the reactions that I got from my classmates, from my friends, from the people who knew me, because, you know, it was a different me than they had ever seen. And so for the amount of, I think it was like, I think my mom had bought me like three to four outfits or something like that. And I literally wore the outfits every day until, you know, they were done. And that was probably one of the most best weeks of my life, because that week brought out a confidence in me that I didn't know that I had, that I didn't know that I could have, um, or should have, you know, when it comes to myself and, you know, how I look, and realizing my beauty, and realizing like you don't have to be ashamed of your body. You know what I'm saying? Like it's for you to love. It's for you to cherish and respect and be proud of. Um, and I gained that sense of confidence for myself. Um, but the reactions of everyone else kind of solidified that within me. Like almost like a, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, you know, like I can be myself. I can show up and be cute if I want to, and still wear baggy jeans if I want to, and you know, not have to be ashamed of my body, or who I am, or of being, you know, showing up the way that I want to show up. um it brought me such an overwhelming sense of confidence within myself, and it just took off from there. You know, it took off from there. And so the rest of my years in high school were, you know, I didn't really hide myself. Like I think that's more or less when I really like began to really show people who I really was. um and I made some great friendships and some great connections, with a lot of great people, you know, who I remember to this day, who I'm still Facebook friends with. We might not hang out every day. We don't speak on a regular basis, you know, probably more or less through Facebook or Instagram, if anything. But um, some of the memories I have with a lot of those people are great. And I cherish those, you know. But it also brought it back to, for me, the quote, a woman's power lies in her heart and in her mind, and not her body. And I was already smart. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was smart. I knew I was intelligent. I knew I was a loving, kind person. I knew that, though I could be mean and I could be standoffish, and I am very guarded. I know that I'm guarded. Even now, I am a very guarded person, but it's not, you know, it's not a, you know, always a bad guard, because I feel like, you know, some guards that you have up, you have to have up, or else you're going to invite any and everything into your life, and you can't. And I won't, not at this point in my life, you know. Sometimes it's a halt who goes there. Like, who are you? What are you here for? What are your intentions? You know, and when I'm like that, it's because I sense something may not be right. You know, and for other people, I can just, hey, how are you? You know what I'm saying? Nice to meet you. And, just be fun loving. And I don't have to put a guard up because I don't feel like there's any, bad intentions or ill will or ill intentions that that person may have for me. I'm big on energy. I'm big off of the feeling that I get when I'm around people. So, I wasn't one to really just be sleeping around and, you know, going from person to person. That was never me, never my MO. Um, because I truly feel like, and I felt like back then, that my power was was in my mind. You know what I'm saying? If I could be strong minded, strong willed, if I can have my own mind and not let people change it, just by telling me anything they want to tell me and I believe it, then I held the power. You know, I knew that if I could just, if I showed up and I, gave love, there's power in that. But I didn't give, I never gave of my body just freely and openly and frivolously, even when I was younger, even, through my 20s, all of those years, I never, did I have reckless moments? Of course. I think we all have had a reckless moment or two in our lives. You know what I'm saying? We've made reckless decisions here or there. So yeah, yeah, I've made some reckless decisions. I've had some reckless moments, but they were so few, so few. Um, because it being violated at a young age really taught me to guard myself, to hold myself, um, especially with men. Um, and maybe sometimes, deep down, because I thought that way for so long, I still probably guard myself in a lot of ways like that. And that's part of this journey that I'm on because y'all see the braid. That's part of the journey that I'm on though, because these are things like these situations, these feelings, these emotions, I am great at compartmentalizing and putting things in a box in my mind and throwing it back in a storage closet somewhere back there where they don't exist. I don't think about them, so they don't bother me. But they do. And they show up in so many ways that you don't even notice or realize. And again, this journey for me is to, I heard somebody say you have to sometimes, not all the time, right? But sometimes you have to revisit the past in order to move forward. And for me, that was true because there were so many moments along my journey um, where I just had to get through the moment. So, I had to compartmentalize what was happening, those feelings, those emotions, so I could get through the moment, so I could make it through to the other side of whatever was happening. Um, and so, me going back to my past and taking this journey from the beginning, I feel like is helping me to get back in contact with those feelings and those emotions that are buried, be able to sit with those feelings and those emotions, um, and work through them. Again, you grow through your situations. You know what I'm saying? You don't get over them. You have to move through them. And at the time when these things were happening, I didn't know how to move through them. I didn't have the wherewithal to get through them successfully. You know, I knew how to get over it. That's it. I just always knew how to get over it, but never how to move through it. And so, um, getting into spirituality and really taking a look at myself and really being able to, look in the mirror, right? That has allowed me to be okay with revisiting the past and bringing these emotions and these feelings back to the surface so that I can once and for all deal with them, move through them, and move forward much lighter, carrying much less baggage than I did before. It's rewarding. It feels rewarding. Like I was so afraid to start this journey and to put it in video and to put it on YouTube. And now that I've started it and now that I'm doing it, it's like every video gets easier and easier to do. Every video gets I'm less anxious when I start the video, and I'm way less anxious as I go through, the story and the emotions and the feelings of it. It doesn't affect me as hard as I thought I thought it would, but it definitely, like, as I finish and, after the video, I sit with myself in quiet for a minute just to think about it and, really acknowledge, what I just said and what I just relived and how I felt in that moment. It allows me to leave it right there in like right here in this video. So when I finish this, I don't have to move forward with any type of, shame or insecurity, lack of confidence. Like, none of that has to be anything that I take with me in my future journey whatsoever. And I feel great about that. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this video here. And I'm going to go finish working on getting these braids out so I can stop looking like somebody's stepchild. But I thank you for all tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. And, join me shortly or soon for the next episode of A Fool's Journey. I look forward to continuing this journey. I look forward to, more people joining the journey with me, giving me feedback or just listening, just being here with me to be a part of my journey. So thank you all. Much loves, hugs, kisses, and have a great evening.